I want to walk you through some of the more complex budgeting problems in this homework. So let me walk you through exercise 9-6, which gives you some data all combined into one, which is what's really making this more complex. So we're going to walk through a production budget and a direct materials budget. Again, this is exercise 9-6. So it's giving you a lot of the information that you need. Remember, all of our budgets start with sales. So I'm going to input that information in first. So this is our production budget. Our sales for quarter one are expected to be $5,000. Our sales for quarter two are expected to be $6,000. They're only requiring these 2 quarters, but we need to know what sales are in quarter three to get some of our other numbers. For example, our desired ending inventory in our production budget is 25% of next quarter's expected sales unit. Because we're working only on the production budget right now, we're only concerned with our finished goods ending inventory, which is the requirement there is 25% of the next quarter expected sales units. So for our desired ending inventory in quarter one, we're going to take quarter two's expected sales and multiply that by 25%. In quarter two, we're going to look at quarter three and multiply that by 25% to get our desired ending inventory. I'm going to add both of those together to find out what our total required units are for each quarter. And then we are going to subtract out that beginning finished goods to see how much we actually have to make. Now remember, our beginning finished goods are going to be 25%. Our beginning inventory is always our last month's ending inventory. Now in this problem, they're not giving you the previous year's sales figures. But remember, they tell us that our ending inventory has to be 25% of the next quarter's expected sales units. So if I was going to look at quarter one and say, well, what did they have in the fourth quarter of the prior year? I'm going to be taking 25% of quarter one's expected sales to get that previous desired ending inventory. So I'm going to do the same thing here. To get my beginning inventory, I'm going to take my current expected sales and times that by 25%. Same thing here. We can always do this. Take my current expected sales times that by 25%. Because now you can see, make this a different color here, that my quarter two's beginning inventory is quarter one's ending inventory, right? Which is what we've already known. But we can also look at that as I got this quarter one's ending inventory by multiplying that quarter two sales by 25%. So I can always look at it that way and say my beginning inventory I can get from looking at my current unit sales. Hopefully that makes sense and you can see where that's coming from. To get that required production then, I'm just going to take that required units to make, subtract out what I already have to tell me what I need to produce. So you can see that. You might want to walk through again to look at that beginning inventory to see where that's coming from if that didn't make sense. Just one more time, your ending inventory is always the next month's beginning inventory. Ending inventory is beginning inventory. Also, I can look at it by saying the next 25% of the next quarter's expected sales is my ending inventory. So that, looking at it that way, I got this 1,500 by taking 25% of that 6,000. So if I want to look at my beginning inventory of that same quarter, looking at those unit sales, timesing that by 25%. Hopefully that helps. So that was just your production budget. Now let's look at the materials budget. We're using some of the same information, and I kind of just pulled apart all of the data they were giving you so that you can find what you needed. Remember that raw material budget, we start with the units that we need to produce. That's coming from our production budget. So I take those units from up here. Quarter two, same thing. Now I need to know how many direct material units does it take to make what I needed to make whatever unit I'm producing. Here it's telling me I need 3 pounds of raw materials. So in order to change from units to materials, I need to multiply by 3. So now I know how many pounds are required to make what I am expected to make. But remember, I want to have a little extra in case I mess up. Here it's telling me that 40% of the next quarter's production requirements are in that ending inventory. I got that from the top of the problem here, where they give you all that, whoops, that was the wrong problem. I give you all that information. They're putting that up here, and they also give you the third quarter production right there. So I'm going to bring those numbers down to help me finish out the rest of this problem. The third quarter production, I'm going to multiply that by 3 so that I have all these numbers to work with. Now, my desired ending inventory is 40% of my next month's required pounds I have to purchase. So I'm going to take that next month, I'm going to times it by 40% to get how much I need in my ending inventory. I'm going to add those numbers together to see how many materials I'm required to purchase. And then I'm going to subtract out my beginning inventory. Now again, they don't give you that last quarter 4 from last year, but that's okay because I need to know I can go to my current year, and I'm looking at pounds here, not units, and I'm going to take 40% of my current to get my beginning inventory. And I'm looking at pounds, taking the 40% of my current quarter to figure out what should be in my beginning inventory. And again, you can remember my beginning inventory should be the same as my previous month's ending inventory. And it is, so I know I did something right. Then I can look at how much I have to actually purchase by taking my total needs, subtracting my beginning inventory, what I already have, and it'll tell me how many pounds I need to purchase. Now, because the real purpose of this is to not only find out how much I have to purchase, but to figure out how much it's going to cost me. In this problem, it costs $4 per pound. I'm going to input that information, and then I'm going to multiply the purchase times the cost to figure out how much that is going to cost me for each of those quarters. So hopefully that helps. It gives you a good example of how to find those beginning and ending inventories and walks you through those two budgets. As always, let me know if you have any questions.